In a time of darkness and despair, God raised up a man named Ezekiel, a humble servant called to deliver a message of hope. Imagine a world where everything familiar had been lost, where people felt abandoned and broken. In this environment, Ezekiel's voice emerged as a beacon of hope. Though his words might seem ancient, the message is as fresh as the morning dew for anyone who feels overwhelmed by life's challenges. Ezekiel lived during a period when the people of Israel were in exile, far from the land they loved, their hearts heavy with loss and regret. In that sorrowful time, Ezekiel was given visions by God that stretched beyond the ordinary. One such vision, perhaps the most striking of all, was the sight of a valley filled with dry, scattered bones. For many, this image might at first seem like something out of a nightmare, a graveyard of forgotten hopes. Yet, it is precisely in this bleak scene that God's promise of renewal shines through. Imagine walking along a dusty road and coming upon a vast valley scattered with bones. At first glance, it appears to be a place of death and abandonment. But then, as if by magic, each bone begins to stir and rejoin with others, forming shapes that hint at something once whole. This was the vision God gave Ezekiel, a powerful metaphor for the nation of Israel, once vibrant and full of life, now lying broken and forgotten. The beauty of Ezekiel's message lies in its simplicity. God was speaking not only to the people of a long-ago exile, but to every person who has ever felt that life has lost its spark. Even when all seems dead, when relationships are fractured, when communities feel divided, or when personal dreams lie in ruins, God offers a promise: life can be restored. Ezekiel's calling was not just to witness these visions, but to share the hope that in God's hands, nothing is ever truly lost. Throughout his ministry, Ezekiel used vivid images to communicate spiritual truths. His language was plain, yet its impact was profound. The dry bones did not represent a static past but a dynamic future, a future where even the most lifeless situations can be transformed by divine intervention. In many ways, Ezekiel's words echo through time, reminding us that despair is never the final chapter. There is always room for renewal, a fresh start guided by a loving God. Ezekiel's life was not without its own hardships. He witnessed the collapse of a once great nation, experienced personal loss, and felt the heavy burden of responsibility for a people in exile. Yet even in his sorrow, his faith never wavered. Instead, his experiences deepened his understanding of God's compassion. His visions, striking, sometimes unsettling, but always filled with promise, became the language through which he communicated God's unwavering commitment to restoration. For anyone who has ever questioned whether their life could be redeemed after hardship, Ezekiel's message is a resounding yes. His vision of the dry bones teaches us that no matter how shattered we feel, there is a path to healing and wholeness. It challenges us to see potential where others see only endings, and to believe in the possibility of transformation even in the darkest valleys of life. This chapter invites you to step into Ezekiel's world, a world where death is not the end, but a prelude to rebirth. As you reflect on the image of a valley scattered with bones, consider what that might mean for your own life. Perhaps you are facing a situation that seems beyond repair, a broken relationship, a lost opportunity, or a deep personal grief. In these moments, Ezekiel's vision serves as a reminder that God can breathe new life into the most barren places. By embracing this message, we learn that our failures and losses are not final. God's power to restore is greater than any setback. It calls us to trust in a future where broken parts are reassembled into something beautiful, a life that tells a story of redemption, hope, and transformation. Ezekiel's calling is both an invitation and a challenge, to see beyond the immediate desolation and to trust that a greater, living purpose awaits. In the next chapter, we will journey deeper into the historical and cultural context of Ezekiel's time, exploring the significance of the vision of the Valley of Dry Bones and how it spoke directly to a people in desperate need of hope. To truly appreciate the power of Ezekiel's vision, it helps to understand the context in which it was given. Picture a nation once proud and vibrant, suddenly cast into exile and despair. The Israelites, having been removed from their homeland, experienced a crisis of identity and hope. Their history and traditions, which once united them, now seemed like distant memories. In this moment of collective crisis, God sent Ezekiel to speak a message that would resonate across time. Ezekiel's prophecy came at a moment when the nation's spirit was broken. The Israelites were living in a state of disconnection, both from each other and from the life-giving presence of God. The dry bones in Ezekiel's vision symbolized this state of separation. They represented the remnants of a once thriving community, now scattered and lifeless. Yet, just as those bones lay in wait in the valley, so too did the possibility of renewal. God was using a simple yet unforgettable image to show that what seemed irretrievably lost could be revived with His power. In everyday language, think of the valley of dry bones as a powerful metaphor for hopelessness. Imagine a garden left untended through a harsh winter, where all the color and life have vanished. But then, with the first warm rays of spring, the garden begins to awaken. Buds appear, colors return, and the garden is transformed into a vibrant landscape. This is the story of the Valley of Dry Bones. What appeared dead and barren was destined to become a testament to the life-giving force of God. This vision was not meant to be a cryptic puzzle only for scholars to decipher. Instead, it was designed to be understood by anyone who had ever experienced loss. Whether you're a child who's seen a wilted flower come back to life or an elder who has witnessed the resilience of nature over many seasons, the promise is clear: even in our lowest moments, there is hope for renewal. Ezekiel's message also speaks to the power of community. When the prophet saw the dry bones, he did not simply observe them from a distance. He spoke to them, and as he did, the bones began to move, to come together, and to form a new, living being. This act symbolizes how a community, no matter how fractured, can be reassembled and restored when guided by a shared vision and a common purpose. The process is not instant. It takes time, care, and the collective effort of many. But the end result is a vibrant, living community where every piece matters. For those who have walked the long road of life, the vision of the dry bones might remind you of seasons past. Times when everything seemed lost, only to be transformed by perseverance, faith, and the support of a caring community. It's a call to remember that the end of one season is often just the beginning of another, richer, more vibrant period in life. In the midst of personal and communal despair, Ezekiel's vision stands as a beacon of the possibility that even the most devastated circumstances can be turned around. It's a reminder that no matter how dire the situation, God's plan always includes a step toward healing. The Valley of Dry Bones is a powerful symbol, a visual promise that death is not the final word, and that every ending holds within it the seeds of a new beginning. As we continue our exploration, the next chapter will dive even deeper into the details of the vision itself, how the bones came together, the breath of life that filled them, and the profound symbolism behind each step of this miraculous transformation. We'll see how this ancient vision speaks to modern hearts, bridging the gap between then and now, and offering timeless lessons of hope and restoration. This chapter will explore the vivid details of the vision of the Valley of Dry Bones, unraveling the symbolism behind each element and demonstrating how God's creative power turns lifelessness into living hope. It will use clear, relatable imagery to connect the ancient text to everyday experiences, showing how every broken piece in our lives can be mended through faith. In Ezekiel's vision, the valley was filled with dry, scattered bones, a scene that must have appeared hopeless and lifeless. But then, the prophet heard the word of the Lord, which brought a powerful command: "Prophesy to these bones and say, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord." Imagine the scene. The wind whispers through the valley, carrying a voice of promise that stirs the bones. This call to action was not just for the bones but for the people of Israel, urging them to believe in the possibility of resurrection and renewal. As Ezekiel spoke, something incredible began to happen. The bones started to come together, forming skeletons, and then sinews and flesh appeared, reconnecting what once had been scattered. Finally, the breath of life entered them, and they stood up, a vast, living army. This moment is not merely a miraculous event, it is a powerful metaphor for the process of renewal in our own lives. Consider moments when you have felt utterly defeated, when every part of you felt broken. Yet, with time, care, and perhaps a little help from someone who believed in you, you found your strength again. That is the essence of this vision. Life is always possible, even after death. The transformation of dry bones into living bodies speaks to the deep yearning for restoration that resides within every human heart. The bones represent all that has been lost: dreams, relationships, hope, and even faith. And the act of reassembling them symbolizes the painstaking process of healing and revival. It's as if God is gently inviting us to take the scattered pieces of our lives, to reassemble them, and to breathe new life into each piece. The imagery is both literal and metaphorical. While Ezekiel saw an actual resurrection of dry bones, we are encouraged to see our own lives being resurrected by the same divine power. What makes this vision so striking is its reminder that renewal is not a matter of chance. It is the result of a divine command and a faithful response. The process begins with a single, courageous step: the willingness to trust in the possibility of change. Just as Ezekiel had to speak life into the bones, we must speak hope into our own lives. Whether through prayer, reflection, or supportive community, each word of encouragement can serve as the spark that ignites transformation. For the young, this message is a call to persevere even when everything seems lost. It teaches that setbacks are not permanent and that life's challenges can be overcome with resilience and faith. For the older, it is a reminder that no matter how many seasons you have weathered, each day holds the promise of renewal. The vision of the Valley of Dry Bones tells us that we are never too far gone for the breath of life to reach us. Moreover, this powerful scene teaches us about community. The reassembly of the bones wasn't an individual miracle, it was a collective transformation, a new beginning for an entire people. In our lives, too, restoration often comes through the help of others. When friends, family, or even strangers come together to support one another, they create a community that can overcome even the bleakest circumstances. The Valley of Dry Bones is not just an ancient story but a living lesson for our times. It challenges us to look at our own lives and ask, where are the dry bones? What parts of our hearts, our communities, or our world need to be reassembled and revived? And most importantly, it reminds us that with God's guidance, nothing is ever truly lost. The breath of life is always ready to fill the empty spaces, to bring color to the gray, and to turn despair into hope. In the next chapter, we will explore how this ancient vision resonates with modern experiences, drawing parallels between the biblical account and the challenges we face today. We will discuss how the promise of resurrection can inspire us to overcome personal trials and build communities rooted in faith, compassion, and unwavering hope. In this chapter, we'll connect the timeless message of Ezekiel's vision to today's world. It will show how the image of dry bones can guide us through modern challenges, be it personal setbacks, community crises, or global hardships. Through practical examples and heartfelt stories, this chapter will help you see that the promise of renewal is not confined to ancient history, it lives in every moment of our lives. Imagine a time when life seems to have lost its vibrancy, a period when personal setbacks, broken relationships, or even societal crises leave us feeling like we're wandering in a barren valley. It is in these moments that Ezekiel's vision of the Valley of Dry Bones becomes a powerful metaphor for modern life. Just as the ancient Israelites found themselves scattered and lifeless in exile, many of us face challenges that leave us feeling isolated, forgotten, and without hope. In today's fast-paced world, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the demands of daily life. Economic hardships, personal losses, and even the rapid pace of technological change can leave us feeling like we are living among the dry bones of our former selves. But the promise that Ezekiel received, that even the most desolate valley can be transformed, reminds us that renewal is always possible. Every setback is an invitation to rebuild, and every challenge carries the seed of a new beginning. Consider the story of someone who has experienced deep personal loss, perhaps the end of a long-term relationship or the loss of a loved one. In the midst of such sorrow, the future may appear bleak. Yet, just as the dry bones in Ezekiel's vision were reassembled and filled with life, so too can a broken heart be mended. With time, care, and the support of a compassionate community, healing can occur. This healing is not simply a return to what was before, but a transformation into something even more beautiful, a life enriched by wisdom, empathy, and a deeper understanding of God's love. For young people, the Valley of Dry Bones is a call to resilience. When faced with academic pressures, social challenges, or the fear of an uncertain future, it is easy to feel like giving up. Yet, Ezekiel's message teaches that every setback is temporary. The process of rebuilding may be slow and requires courage, but the end result is a vibrant life full of purpose and promise. Every dream that seems shattered today can be reassembled tomorrow through determination, faith, and a willingness to start again. Older generations, too, find comfort in this vision. Life is full of transitions. Retirement, the loss of old friends, or changes in health can all leave one feeling as if the spark of life is dimming. But the Valley of Dry Bones reminds us that every ending is also the beginning of something new. With each season of life comes the opportunity for renewal, a chance to discover new passions, and the gift of sharing wisdom with those who follow. On a community level, Ezekiel's vision can inspire us to rebuild what has been broken around us. Consider a neighborhood that has been ravaged by economic decline or a community divided by conflict. When people come together, offering support and encouragement, they become the breath of life that transforms a desolate place into a thriving community. It is in the sharing of resources, the building of relationships, and the mutual commitment to a better future that the dry bones of division and despair are reassembled into a living testimony of hope. Modern technology and communication can also serve as tools for revival. Social media, for example, often highlights the worst of human behavior, yet it also has the power to connect us across distances and bring communities together. Just as Ezekiel's vision called for the reassembly of scattered bones, today's digital connections can be the threads that weave together a tapestry of mutual support and understanding. Every message of encouragement, every act of kindness, is a small step toward reviving a world that sometimes feels broken. In our personal lives, this vision encourages us to look at our own dry bones, the parts of us that feel neglected or forgotten. Whether it's a long-held dream that has been abandoned or a talent that has lain dormant, the call is clear: do not give up hope. Reach out, rebuild, and let the breath of life fill every corner of your being. It is a reminder that every individual is part of a larger, beautiful plan, a plan that transforms even the most broken pieces into a masterpiece of love and purpose. As we transition to the final chapter, take this message to heart. No matter how overwhelming your current struggles may seem, the promise of renewal is ever present. The Valley of Dry Bones is not just an image from an ancient prophecy. It is a living, breathing call to rebuild and reimagine our lives with faith and determination. In this chapter will serve as a stirring conclusion, urging us all to embrace the lessons of Ezekiel's vision. It will challenge us to live boldly in the light of resurrection, to rebuild our lives and communities, and to share the hope of renewal with others. This final chapter is an invitation to step out of the valley and into a future filled with promise, guided by the unwavering love and power of God. In the closing moments of our journey through Ezekiel's vision, we stand at the threshold of a renewed life, a life where even the dry bones of our past are transformed into something living and vibrant. This final chapter is a call to action, an invitation to step into the light of resurrection and to let the promise of renewal shape every aspect of our lives. Imagine standing in a valley that once seemed to hold only death and despair. Now, envision that same valley being transformed by a powerful, life-giving force. That force is not merely a memory of ancient prophecy, it is the living breath of God that continues to work miracles in our lives today. The message is simple but profound. No matter how broken or scattered we may feel, God's power to restore is greater than any force of decay or despair. To live in the light of resurrection is to choose hope over hopelessness, action over resignation, and community over isolation. It means recognizing that every setback, every loss, every dry bone in our lives is not the end of the story but the beginning of a new chapter. It calls us to be brave enough to rebuild, to pick up the pieces and, with the help of God and one another, fashion them into something whole and beautiful. For the young, this is an invitation to dream again. It is a reminder that the challenges of today are not barriers but opportunities to grow, to learn, and to reinvent yourself. Each moment of difficulty can be transformed into a stepping stone toward a brighter future. By embracing the promise of resurrection, you become part of a generation that refuses to be defined by past failures. Instead, you write a new story, one of resilience, hope, and unwavering faith. For the older, this vision speaks to a lifetime of experiences, a tapestry woven with both joy and sorrow. It reminds you that your journey is far from over. Even when life seems to have worn you down, there remains a spark, a divine breath, capable of reigniting the fire of purpose within you. Your wisdom, gathered through years of living, becomes a guiding light for others who are still searching for their way out of the valley. On a communal level, the call to live in the light of resurrection is one of unity and shared purpose. When we come together, pooling our strengths and supporting one another, we create a living community that defies the forces of despair. Each act of kindness, every effort to rebuild broken bonds, contributes to a larger picture of hope, a picture in which no one is left behind and every soul is given the chance to rise. This call to action is also deeply personal. It challenges you to examine your own life, your hopes, your dreams, and even your wounds. It asks you to consider where you have allowed the dry bones of doubt, fear, or sorrow to accumulate, and then to take that first step toward healing. Perhaps it means reaching out to an old friend, mending a fractured relationship, or simply taking time to nurture your own well-being. Whatever form it takes, the message remains. God's breath of life is always near, ready to fill you with renewed strength and purpose. In a world where negative news often dominates the headlines and where feelings of isolation can creep in despite our constant connectivity, Ezekiel's vision stands as a powerful antidote. It tells us that even when everything around us seems to be falling apart, there is an ever-present opportunity for renewal. Every challenge is a call to rise, every setback a chance to rebuild. The resurrection of dry bones is not just a miraculous event of the past, it is an ongoing promise for each one of us. As we conclude this series, let these lessons settle deep in your heart. Carry with you the image of the valley transformed by God's life-giving breath, a reminder that hope is always possible, even in the darkest moments. Let it inspire you to live boldly, to rebuild what has been broken, and to share the promise of renewal with others. In doing so, you not only honor the ancient words of Ezekiel but also become a living testament to the enduring power of God's love. May you walk forward with courage, knowing that every end is simply a new beginning, and every dry bone can be made to live again. This is the powerful, timeless message of Ezekiel, a call to all generations to rise, rebuild, and rejoice in the miraculous renewal that awaits. May these words inspire you to see hope in every situation, to believe that no life is beyond repair, and to embrace the transformative power of God's enduring love. Please make sure to subscribe and comment so we can keep in touch. Thank you.